This is my recipe for red lentil curry with roasted pumpkin, aka dal. It has so much going for it. It is delicious, nutritious, easy, quick, and very inexpensive to make. So the first thing I do is I roast some pumpkin. About a half of this pumpkin. By roasting the pumpkin, it gives the dal such a beautiful flavour. And that looks like a good one. I'll just remove the skin and then I just chop it into bite-sized pieces. And I place the pumpkin on a paper-lined baking tray and drizzle it with a little olive oil, or I just love using ghee when I cook any curries or anything like that, and using my hands to just rub it all in. And I place that into a preheated oven of 180 degrees Celsius, which is 350 degrees Fahrenheit, for about 20 to 30 minutes. And while the pumpkin's roasting, I'll prepare the dal. So I take 2 onions and I peel them. I'm just going to cut them in thin half-moon slices, quite thin, paper thin. And while I've got the cutting board out, I'll just prepare the ginger and the garlic. You can use ginger from a bottle if you haven't got fresh ginger. And I just take most of the skin off and just grate using a microplane grater, a good tablespoon or so. Then I take 3 cloves of garlic, and you can either chop it really finely or just microplane it. And that's all I need to chop. You'll need a cup of red lentils. You can rinse them though if you prefer, which you probably should, but I don't bother, to be honest. I place a heavy based pan on the stove and I warm up the pan a little bit, and then I'm going to add some ghee, and I add a couple of tablespoons. It's the only fat apart from the coconut cream that goes into this recipe. Once the ghee has melted, or oil, whatever you're using, I add the onions. And I'll cook them for a few minutes until they're translucent and quite soft. So once the onions have been cooking for a few minutes and are lovely and soft and translucent, now I add all the spices. First of all, I add the ginger and the garlic that I chopped earlier. And I'll just give that a little stir. My heat's on like a medium-low. You don't want it too high. And at this stage, you can put a pot of water on for your rice. This meal can be on the table within half an hour. It's a healthy fast food. Then I add 2 teaspoons of garam masala powder and 2 teaspoons of curry powder, just your favourite curry powder. 2 teaspoons of veggie stock powder and some chilli. I'm just using crushed chilli in a jar, about 1 big teaspoon. You can also use fresh chilli if you prefer, whatever you have available. And I'll just stir that together and let it bloom for a minute or so. And after a minute, then I add the lentils and I give that a good stir as well. And coat all the lentils with this delicious spice mixture. I haven't added any salt. I like to add that towards the end because the veggie stock powder is quite salty. And then I add a can of coconut cream. You can totally use coconut milk if you prefer it less creamy, but I like the coconut cream. And then I fill up this tin and add a tin of water, and I give that a stir, which will help to glaze the pan, anything that's sort of stuck to the bottom. Red lentils don't take that long to cook, about 15 minutes or so. Right, that's deglazed the pan. There's nothing stuck to the bottom now. I'll just bring it to the boil. So once it's come to the boil, I'm going to put a lid on it and reduce the heat to low. And I'll check on it in about 15 minutes. So after 15 minutes of the dal really gently simmering, the lentils are cooked. And now what I do is I add the pumpkin. If you find that your dal's quite thick, you can add a little bit more liquid like water. And I'll let that simmer for about 5 more minutes, and that's done then. And with my dal, I'll taste it for seasoning, and it tastes really good. It just needs a bit of salt, just about a teaspoon. So I'm going to turn off the heat, put on the lid and wait for the rice to finish cooking. I have made this dal so many times. We were eating it at least once a week, and I made it that much that Mike and I couldn't eat it for a couple of years. And I don't advertise this, but it's completely vegan if you don't use the ghee. And there you go. You can put some garnish on it if you wish. It's really, really delicious. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.